It's great to see you. My name is Cindy Burns, and I have the great blessing of being on the staff at Pulaski Heights United Methodist Church. I thought we would just start by just checking in with ourselves. Just kind of thinking for a moment, how are we doing? We want to be honest with ourselves. We want to be authentic with ourselves and with God. We want to be real. So when we check in with ourselves, we don't have to pretend, oh, everything's great, not a problem in the world. That's not a relationship with God. That's not really a relationship with ourselves. If you're like me, you've had a huge range of emotions over the last 6 to 7 weeks, the last 2 days. So I just want to encourage all of us to have an awareness of our feelings, just kind of stay in touch with ourselves. How are we? And just to really be honest with ourselves, with where we are and what we're feeling, and honest with God. I'll just share how much I miss seeing everybody at church. Sunday mornings are so much fun. Such a blessing, such a joy. And I just miss being at the church with everyone. I miss being with you. I miss being with the children. But I can't do anything about that right now. And so I'm just trying to count my blessings, be thankful that yes, we can have our church service, and just focus on the positives. But it does not deny how much I miss seeing everyone. And I feel sad that I haven't seen a lot of people whom I love for quite a while. During this time, I have really prayed often the Serenity Prayer. I love the Serenity Prayer. I've loved it for a long time. My mother loved it. And so I just want to read this prayer. Some of you all are familiar with it. Some of you aren't, but it has really meant a lot to me in these last 6 to 7 weeks. It's just kind of brought me back to being aware of what I cannot control, what I can control, and for God to help me realize this. The Serenity Prayer is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Let's look at this prayer. To accept the things I cannot change. It's a long list, especially now. I can't change that we cannot be at church on Sunday mornings. I can't. There are many things. If I write the list of everything that I cannot change, it's a long list. So the prayer is saying, God, help me to accept. Give me a peace about those things. And be aware, can I do something about that or can I not? Then the next part of the prayer, courage to change the things that I can. I put in this category good self-care. It's going to be different for all of us, but I just want to share some things. For those of us who are physically able, perhaps a walk. It doesn't have to be a 5-mile, 8-minute mile jog. It can be a walk down the street, but just getting out and about if we're physically able. Sleep. Drinking lots of water. I've realized that I had a routine when I would drive to my office. I would try to always drink a glass of water, and then I'd fill it up when I would get to work, to my office. Well, I realized I'm not drinking as much water. And so I've really been trying to be aware of that, to hydrate. Be aware of our sleep, how important sleep is to our well-being. Making healthy food choices. Using kind words to others. I always feel like the better I feel about myself on the inside, the kinder I am to others. And not only using kind words to others, but using kind words towards ourselves. being kind to ourselves. That is something that, yes, we can change. We can change our self-talk. Prayer, scripture, reading authors who bring inspiration. I love Richard Rohr. I have a friend who receives a daily meditation and often sends those on to me. And so I printed them off. I've got a stack here. I keep those. When I need a little extra inspiration, I'll go back. I'll read one that has meant a lot to me. But basically, realizing what I can change and having the courage to change those. And then the wisdom to know the difference. We are human beings. It is human nature to want to control. Most all of us are we're control freaks. We want to control everything. A lot of times out of fear, they're all different reasons, but it's called human nature. So that's where God's wisdom comes in. And we say, God, help me recognize what I can control and what I cannot control. And God can give us that wisdom. We process it. We might write it down. We might think about it. However we look at that. But God's wisdom intervenes and gives us that. Sometimes there's something we can't control. And we can almost become, or let me just say for myself, I can almost become obsessed with it. I can't do one thing about it, but I'm thinking about it all the time. My mind is a-going, and I'm thinking about that. It's not helpful. It's not good self-care. We can focus on scripture, and we can go, for some reason, this is a scripture that has just meant so much to me. And it's in the 46th chapter of Psalm. And Psalms, those are great scriptures to read when we just have a range of emotions. It's been helpful to me. The 10th verse, the first sentence, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." And sometimes when my mind is racing and I'm over here and I just cannot settle my mind because I'm over in this thing where I'm spending a lot of energy about things I cannot do one thing about, cannot control it. I try to just go back to that scripture and just say that scripture. Be still and know that I am God. And I try to just calm myself and try to bring those words into my mind and my heart to replace all the frantic carrying on in my mind. And just pray for God to bring me those words. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Saying it over, maybe emphasizing different words. And then God gave us the gift of breath. And in a yoga class years ago, I just loved it. It's often part of a yoga class. I like to incorporate with saying over and over, be still and know that I am God. To breathing, taking a deep breath and thinking, breathe in love for self. Exhale, breathe out love for others. Let's try that. Take a really deep breath, and as you take that breath, think to yourself or say out loud, inhale, breathe in love for self. Exhale, breathe out love for others. That's a mantra that we can continue to do and say over and over. So let's just close with the Serenity Prayer. And before closing with the prayer, and God grant me the serenity to change the things, to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you. Stay safe.